Can people even define what the word rich means? What does that mean? And why do we hate people who are rich? Have they done something to us? Have they taken something from us? I mean, the fact of the matter is, those of us who pay taxes, it's the government that takes money from us and wastes it and redistributes it and uses it for political purposes. My local county even, I have to do a business and professional tax, a business receipts tax, a real estate tax, and a vehicle tax. I mean, and twice a year they come. That's a lot. It's a nuisance. State, we have an income tax in Virginia, as well as a sales tax. Federal government, an income tax, depending on how you set up your situation, another tax, capital gains tax, if you saw some stocks. It just goes on and on and on and on. A rich person doesn't do this stuff to me. Does a rich person do this stuff to you? And if there are corporations out there making so much money, if you have any pension money, I recommend you put it in that corporation. I don't give business advice, but you know what I'm saying. Meanwhile, the government consumes 25% of every dollar you produce in this nation. All of us. If you add on top of that the cost of regulations, that's another 11%. 36% of the wealth that we create in the private sector is consumed either directly by the federal government or seized through regulations in which they're coercing us to do something. 36%. So let's say you live next to a rich guy or gal. Do they take 30? I mean, what do they do to you? Nothing. Maybe they hire some of your neighbors. Maybe they create some product that you like. I mean, this used to be called the American dream, excuse me, where a poor person can get rich, or a not-so-rich person could get rich, but on the other hand, you can lose everything, too. We used to call this liberty. But when you listen to Obama in some of the clips I'm going to play, just listen to how he talks. If you're successful, you're the enemy. If you're successful, you need to be less successful. No matter how hard you work, no matter how smart you work, no matter how much you've invested, no matter what you have sacrificed to get to where you are and had to overcome local, state, and federal government rules and regulations, it's just assumed you can give more. Let's say you make $300,000 just for 1 year. But the next year you go broke. You still have to pay taxes on that $300,000 that prior year. And you're a millionaire and billionaire. It's so demeaning. It's so contrary to who we are and what this nation is. And when Obama talks about working people in the middle class, just remember this. Who's driving up the cost of gasoline in this country? Who's driving up the cost of food in this country? Who's making it more expensive to purchase a home or an automobile in this country? He wants to look out for the little guy. He wants to control the little guy. And he acts like we're all incapable of providing for ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, when we've reached a point where most of us are incapable of providing for ourselves, the country's dead. We don't need his help. We need him to get the hell out of the way. So listen to some of this. Here's Obama at Florida Atlantic University today. Cut 6, go.
When we guarantee basic security for the elderly or the sick or those who are actively looking for work, that doesn't make us weak. What makes us weak is when fewer Americans can afford to buy the products that businesses are selling.
Let's stop right there. This first part, when we guarantee basic security for the elderly or the sick or those that are actually looking for work, let's stop there a second. When we guarantee basic security for the elderly, most of the elderly guarantee basic security for themselves. The fact that they were compelled, the fact that you seniors were compelled, I'm getting there, to take money that you earned and put it into a Ponzi scheme, that's not basic security. That's a Ponzi scheme. And of course, we as a society have an obligation to you. But you have taken care of yourselves most of your life. You have put aside money for yourselves most of your life. Obama just quickly talks about how he's guaranteeing you your security. No, he's not. What did Obama create? What did Obama do that guarantees you your security? Seriously, if you're 60, 62 and older, what the hell? You didn't even know who Obama was 5, 6, 8 years ago when you were saving for your retirement, putting money aside, being taxed under Social Security and Medicare, whatever you were doing to provide for yourself. So what does he mean when we were providing security for you? He hasn't provided a damn thing for you. And if security means government programs, isn't he the guy that took $500 billion out of Medicare? So what is he guaranteeing? Isn't he the guy that set up Obamacare with this 15-member Politburo to determine whether you get medicine or not, whether you get treatment or not, whether you have an operation or not? He's guaranteeing you security? Haven't we talked many times before about how Medicare turns down more patients than any private insurance company, any major private insurance company? We've talked about those statistics before. He's not guaranteeing you anything. He's Obama come lately. And he's stepping into this, trying to rearrange our society. So don't buy what he's saying. Basic security for the sick. The overwhelming majority of us pay for our own private insurance. That's what he wishes to seize out of our hands. He wishes to force us into a single-payer government-run system. He said so. His party says so. We don't want them to provide for us. We want to provide for ourselves so we can actually live good lives, get the kind of medicine we want. We're not all destitute. We're not all looking for a handout. Many of us are capable of using our abilities, our God-given abilities, to take care of ourselves and our own families. If they would stop taking money out of our paychecks, stop obstructing us in our place of work, stop bullying us and pushing us around. Start from the beginning, Mr. Producer. Cut 6. Go.
When we guarantee basic security for the elderly or the sick or those who are actively looking for work, that doesn't make us weak. What makes us weak is when fewer Americans can afford to buy the products that businesses are selling. When fewer people are willing to take risks and start their new business because if it doesn't work out, they worry about feeding their families.
All right, stop. This is stunning to me. What makes us weak is when fewer Americans can afford the products that businesses are selling. And he wants to raise taxes. He wants to drive up the cost of products and services. Well, that's what happens when you raise taxes. If these businesses stay in business, in order to stay in business, they have to increase their prices to cover the new taxes and the new regulations. If they swallow all that, they go out of business. And all their employees lose their jobs too. Now, how many of you can afford the gasoline you're paying for? Many of you can't. Is that what he's talking about? So why is he intentionally driving up the cost of fuel? He's intentionally driving up the cost of electricity. He's putting hard-working Americans out of business all throughout coal country. That's what drags down our country. If there are more rich people, how does that hurt coal country? If there are more rich people, how does that hurt the price of fuel and food? If there are more rich people, how does that hurt the ability to get a job opportunities? Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
What drags our entire economy down is when the benefits of economic growth and productivity go only to the few, which is what's been happening for over a decade now.
Stop. He's such a liar that I really have to constrain myself. For over a decade, economic growth and productivity go only to the few. Despite what the government's doing, we're the most successful people on the face of the earth. We are the wealthiest of the big industrial countries on the face of the earth. He sounds like Marx talking about the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, the landowners, the business owners versus the laborers, where he wants the laborers to rise up. That would be you. And to take out these corporations and these landowners, to take them out. And for the last 10 years, the only people making money, the bourgeois, where the proletariat makes nothing. You all work in sweatshops. You all work in rice fields. He's trying to create the image of North Korea, of Zimbabwe, and on and on and on. Only the few at the top. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? The magnificence of our system, the genius of our system, a constitutional republic that honors private property rights and hard work, is that we are not the country he's painting here for you. We are not this country, where only a few at the top make money and everybody else just labors. Look around you. Is that what you see in your neighborhood? Of course not. Of course not. This isn't a two-class society with the bourgeoisie, as Marx and Engels talked about, and the proletariat. If it was, there would have been a revolution here a long time ago, but he can't get rid of the Marxist propaganda. That is exactly what this is if you looked at the Communist Manifesto. It's exactly what he's saying. By the way, from freeenterprise.com, adjusted gross income last year, 2011, the adjusted gross income level of over $1 million, they paid 24.1%. 500,000 to 1 million, paid 23.7%. 200,000 to half a million in adjusted gross income, paid 18.4%. 50,000 to $75,000 a year adjusted gross income, paid 6.9%. This is all a bucket of lies. Now, you heard Obama. You heard Obama, right? No, I want you to hear the Communist Manifesto, where Marx and Engels write that the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. But they say, unlike past struggles with their gradual class systems, quote, the modern bourgeois society that has sprouted from the ruins of feudal society has established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in the place of old ones. Marx and Engels write, our epic, the epic of the bourgeois, possesses, however, this distinctive feature. It has simplified the class antagonisms. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two great classes directly facing each other, the bourgeois, that is the capitalists, and the proletariat, the laborers. This is where Obama's head is, among other places. Well, what of economic advancement? I ask. Quote, the bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production. Remember when Obama used to go on and on about we have these ATM machines and these other things, and you scratch your head and say, what the hell is he talking about? It comes right out of the Communist Manifesto. You can't have technological advancement. We all have to work in the fields, don't you know? Yes. Cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society. He's condemning it. He's condemning economic progress. Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguish the bourgeois epoch from all earlier ones. All fixed, fast-frozen relations with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. All new-formed ones become antiquated because they can ossify. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned. I've also talked about in the past, remember deindustrializing America? The radical, flat earth, no-growth, Marxist environmental movement, as I've been calling it. deindustrializing America. That's what this is all about. The need of a constantly expanding market, they write, for its products chases the bourgeois over the whole surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. So I write, the only just course is to eliminate the material wealth of the bourgeoisie. Oh, the millionaires and the billionaires. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that's you. No, you're not millionaires and billionaires. But you have more wealth than all the millionaires and billionaires put together in this country. You want to know why? Because America is not this. It's not a two-class society built from feudalism where people can't move economically up or down the ladder. Capitalism is the answer, not the problem. But this is where Obama's mindset is. When he's talking about millionaires and billionaires, he's talking about you. Of course you're not millionaires and billionaires, but he's talking about you. You control most of the wealth in this country. He wants to take it from you, but he wants to do it in a way where you're jealous of other people, so you go along with it. I'll be right back.